So today we're gonna be busting out the underwater camera and catching anything that's willing to bite. So I just drilled some holes, and as you'll see right now, before I was even able to get a line down, I was dropping down the underwater camera. The fish were coming in to check out the camera. So I have a good feeling that we're set up in a good productive area where there's a lot of fish. So yeah, I'm gonna get my line down and we're gonna see if we can catch a few of them. All right, now as you can see, I had a really big puppet minnow tied on. It's actually the biggest one that they make, biggest one I have in my box, because I'm trying to get like a good target for the camera to see so I can get the camera pointing at this hole. Oftentimes if you're using like a small jig, it can be hard to get the camera lined up, but I guess long story short, as you saw on camera there, a bass came and took a little nip at my really big, huge puppet minnow. So that tells you that today they might be willing to eat something a little bit bigger. And yeah, you could probably see too that I still had the rubber band on the hook for storage. But anyway, we're gonna start out using something a little bit bigger. And yeah, hopefully the fish are willing to eat big baits like that all day. There we go. That didn't take long. All right. Whoa. Thing is peel and drag. Awesome. First bass on the board. The thing did not hesitate for a moment. Just came right up and smacked it. One thing I love about bass is they really fight good. Check that out. That is a tank. Super big chunky bass there. Awesome. How cool is that? And if I can get it out here, popped the puppet minnow. Pink little Rattlin puppet minnow for a beautiful bass. Check that thing out. So cool. You know, a lot of guys will use smaller baits when they're chasing bass like this, but sometimes they don't mind it big. Come on, you can hit it. Look at him down there. He keeps on missing the bait. Oh, here we go. Back for round 3. Oh, I missed him. All right, gotta get back down. See if I can get him to eat on camera again. You can see it. Yep, we're down here. Down here. Oop. There we go. Actually got stuck on the side of his body there. Oop. Wow, what is he doing? Oh, he's back. Look at that. This one really wants to eat. Oh, how did I miss him? Not gonna lie, I didn't feel that bite at all on my rod here, but I was just kind of taking it as like a visual bite. It looked like it was in his mouth. Oh, here he is. I could have set the hook there maybe. I wasn't 100% sure if the treble was in his mouth. Come on now, one more time. Give me one more chance. God, he's got a gnarly looking mouth. What is he doing? Man, he's fired up. Look at him. What in the world? All right, not gonna lie, that was a pretty interesting experience. I might have been able to set the hook on him that very last time he took a bite. Looked like he might have had some treble hooks in his mouth, but regardless, I didn't want to whiff on him again, so I was kind of waiting for him to eat it, but man, that fish was fired up. That was super fun. Ooh. Stuck him. Here we go. It's all fired up. I was on my phone, of course. Oh, there's a couple. That's good. We're gonna get hit. Ooh. Did I miss him again? Come on. There we go. Sweet. Awesome, look at, there's more down there. There's like a big school of 3 of them that came through. When I got stuck in the camera, as you can see here, the camera's twisting up. That is the one downside of the camera. Oop. Here we go. Try not to get hooked here. There we go. Another Larry the largemouth on the old pinky there. Check it out. Not bad, not as big as the first one, but still a really solid bass. I'm gonna get him back in the water. Let's catch some more. Bloop. So you'll notice so far that every fish has been more than willing to come up and hit a full size big minnow bait like this, little Rattlin puppet minnow. So I'm not tipping it with anything. I don't have anything on the treble. I do have some wax worms and spikes right here in my bait puck, but I don't have it on the bait right now, as you can see, and they're more than willing to hit it. In a lot of cases when I'm chasing bass like this, one thing I like to do is run smaller little tungstens with a plastic or a worm on the back of it, and usually that's the ticket. But if you don't have to use really small stuff like that, obviously you're not going to. So if you can get away with those bigger baits, then you definitely want to do that. But another thing that's really effective too is set lines for bass. They really like to eat minnows, especially shiners. So that's a good option too. Right now I actually didn't bring any minnows, so we don't have any set lines set up anywhere around here. But that's a really good option as well. Maybe next time I go out and chase bass like this, or you know, whatever's willing to bite. This lake has a lot of different stuff. It's possible we could catch a walleye here. We definitely could catch panfish, although I don't know if I'd be able to catch a bluegill on the puffin minnow like that. But regardless, there's a lot of stuff we could catch here, but I didn't bring any minnows or anything. So everything that's gonna happen, you will see it right down there on the camera. So I'm gonna drop back down and see if I can catch some more. There's one hiding out in the background there. Just kind of chilling, I guess. Oop, there's another one. You'll notice they kind of come through in wolf packs. There we go. Got him right on that back hook. Ooh, he popped off. Darn. I didn't stick him hard enough. That's one problem. I wasn't planning on using these bigger baits. So one problem that I'm having is that I don't necessarily have enough backbone to really drill them, especially with that bigger hook in the back. So I'm not able to stick them super good. So that is one issue with this particular setup that I have right here. This is actually more of a panfish size rod. It's not really something you would use a minnow bait like this to really jack them. So anyway, I guess that's just how the cookie crumbles. Oh, this one's coming back in though. Oh, this is probably the one that was lurking in the background. Oop, I did something he didn't like. There's a pike. Ooh, look at that growth on his side. Man, I'd like to take a closer look at that. Now, one thing that I've noticed already, since we moved up a little bit shallower, we were out in probably, I don't know, 12 feet or so, right on kind of right where the weeds are starting to disappear. Now we're up a lot shallower. It's probably only 6 feet or so up here, which is why there's a lot more light, as you can see on the camera, but or the underwater camera, I should say. But I have noticed immediately that there's a lot more of like a diverse species set up here in the shallows. We've seen bluegills, we've seen rock bass, we've seen pike, we've seen largemouth bass. So that's kind of fun and interesting. This would be the area where a lot of those bass might move up to as we get a little bit later in the day. It's like almost 3 o'clock right now, so they might start moving up here. And in addition to that, the bluegill bite could really fire up on this spot too. Wow, look at that bluegill. That is a really, really nice fish. Wow, I bet it's like at least 9 inches. Here, I got a measuring device right there. 9 inches right on the button. Check that beauty out. Wow. You know, looking at the camera, I did not think that this fish was gonna be this big. So I thought I'd take a quick second to break down what kind of spot we're fishing and why we're fishing here. Now, as you've been able to see on the underwater camera, we're fishing in weeds. And why I love weeds is because you never know what you're gonna catch. There's a lot of different fish that live up in the weeds, as you've been seeing. We've seen minnows, we've seen bass, pike, and you know, oftentimes you may even run into walleyes up here. A lot of people like to set up out on the outside weed edge or on the first break to look for walleyes, but you will find some walleyes occasionally up in the shallows. Regardless, I like fishing in the weeds, and as I mentioned, the outside weed edge is an area where a lot of people like to fish. I actually like to suck up a little bit shallower into the middle of the weed flat, and the reason for that is because oftentimes that's where I can find some good, healthy weeds, and the healthier the weeds that you can find, the more fish activity you're gonna find. Another reason why we're fishing up in the weeds is because that's where these underwater cameras really excel. If you push out into deeper water, the problem is there's not gonna be quite as much light penetration, so it's gonna be harder for you to see on the camera. That's where we're fishing and why we're fishing there. So we're trying something a little bit different for the last few minutes of the day here. The sun is just about to go over the horizon, and I bumped my entire setup out into deeper water where I was seeing those bass earlier in the day, and we're gonna try and catch maybe 1 or 2 more of those bass before time's up. But what I did that's a little bit different is instead of rigging my camera horizontally, I actually rigged it at a 45-degree angle pointing upwards. And what that's gonna do is make it a little bit easier to see our bait in this low light situation like this, because it creates a little bit of a silhouette. You'll see it can make a big difference in low light periods like this. Here we go, come on. Oh, I missed that. There's another one. Here we go. Got him. So you can see I dump back out deeper here again. Ooh. There we go. Awesome. Not sure how the lighting's gonna be with this. I got my vehicle right over there, so it's kind of halfway blocking the light, but that was pretty cool, wasn't it? That fish came up and smoked it. Watching him eat like that on the camera has gotta be the coolest thing ever. And you can see, you know, once these fish are fired up and they want the bait, they're not super accurate feeders, it seems like. It seems like they really are not great. They can do a lot of swinging and missing, but you know, they'll stay in the area and take a couple swipes at it if they want it. So I'm gonna get this guy back in the water real quick. Well, I'm gonna try and get off the ice before it gets too dark here, but before you go, I got 2 videos you can check out. Number 1, up on top are my top 5 favorite walleye spoons for ice fishing, and number 2, down below, is my first time camping out on the ice, and it was a lot of fun. I caught some big walleyes, so those are a couple videos you can check out before you go. I want to thank you for watching. See you next time.